it's a lot of material. I'm only going to really briefly cover some of the main points. The question at hand today, as we've just announced the new month of Adar, we only got one Adar this year, not a double header, not a leap year, one big Adar. We can focus all our positive energy into it. And it says in the Talmud, when Adar arrives, our joy increases. Ta'anit 29a. So the question that I'm going to try to address from a multitude of angles, but as I mentioned very briefly, and then you'll have the material you can look at on your own. What does it mean to be joyous in Adar? What kind of happiness is this happiness? Happiness is a whole bunch of things. On the back page, you can see, and I'll just make reference to it, the song Happiness from You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown. And you can see that happiness is all kinds of things, like playing the drum in your own school band, and I could start singing it, but I won't. Sharing a sandwich, getting along, and Lucy says that, which is really amazing. All right, so happiness is a lot of things, but we know that happiness is a lot of things that aren't Adar happiness. For instance, Sukkot is called Zman Simchatenu, the time of our joy, the time of our rejoicing. If Sukkot is called that, and Purim and Adar are a time when happiness increases, which is the real happy time? Well, like Eskimos have a lot of words for snow, in Hebrew, there are a lot of words for joy and happiness, and they're different kinds. So on Sukkot, it's all about acceptance and gratitude. Thanksgiving, our Thanksgiving holiday comes from Sukkot, which is sort of a quiet, accepting, fall-like happiness. This is a whole different animal right now. So let me give you a few of the things that are suggested as to what Adar happiness is all about. First of all, on the first page of this packet, it explores the gematria, the, of course, letter number relation in Kabbalah that you have with Hebrew, that Aleph is 1, etc. So the word joy, simcha, is the same of the gematria. It adds up to the same number as shana, year. It means that the joy that a person is inspired to have at this time will be a source from which one can draw upon for the entire year. So this is like we're storing up, a Joseph 7 years of plenty worth of good stuff and joy here in Adar that'll last us through the rest of the year. So that's kind of nice. Long-lasting happiness. This is not ephemeral joy, which means that it's more than just drinking, which of course on Purim is considered to be almost obligatory. I mean, there are some exceptions here, and we're not going to get into that. But the idea is that it's not just about having a party. It's long-lasting joy. What else? Well, it's filled with light. It's filled with gladness. In fact, the Havdalah ceremony at the end of Shabbat quotes the book of Esther, which is also quoted here on page 1. Mordechai went forth from the presence of the king in royal apparel, and everything gets reversed. And then it says the Jews had light and gladness, joy and honor. So again, more words for happiness than you can imagine that there would be. It's a lot of words. It's a lot of light. If you look at the Gemara on page 3, this is a commentary, rabbinic commentary on that verse. What does it mean? Light and gladness, joy and honor. Rav Yehuda says light refers to Torah. So Torah learning brings happiness. And it also says that a mitzvah is a lamp and Torah is light. So light and Torah makes sense. That's from the book of Proverbs. Gladness, simcha, refers to the festivals and how they are observed. So we're going to have festivals, of course, beginning with this brand new holiday, Purim. Joy, sason, refers to circumcision. Well, is there a more joyous moment in the life of a person and a family other than one's own bris? No. But watching the bris, well, not even that. But still, they found joy in circumcisions. God bless them. And so anyway, we find lots of things that we can get from from that verse in the book of Esther about the joy that they felt. All right. More than that, since we're talking about circumcision, if you go to page 2, it talks about the mystical significance of the month of Adar. Adar, because it is often a doubled up month, a leap month, although only 7 times in 19 years, so not every year, but it's considered to be a pregnant month. You can see this third paragraph down. The joy of Adar is what makes the month pregnant. So again, like a bris, pregnancy, a time of, so I hear, of great joy. And one might say that Adar is our little bundle of joy that that comes from this special month that often brings with it an added month, has a little extra for us. So that's another bundle of joy. Adar is the pregnant month. And again, that sort of feeds on the theme that it's long lasting, that it's not even just one generation, that it goes and transcends generation and links generations, as Purim certainly does. Okay, another one, that's a joy that leads to more joy in another way too, not just generationally, but also seasonally. Purim is that great joy because it implies that Pesach is not too far behind. You know, when we have 2 Adars, we always observe Purim on the 2nd Adar, not the first, although every other, like Yartzeit commemoration, that would normally be in one Adar or the other is usually in the first one when there are 2, but not Purim because it needs to be that 1 month away from Passover, one leading to the other. The 2 holidays are linked. So joy that leads to joy, that's Adar's special kind of joy. And you know, it sort of fits in with the pregnancy theme too, and having children and the circumcision, because you got to clean up a lot. Not just changing diapers, but actually clean up, set a room aside for the crib and all that. So Pesach is a time that we're doing a lot of cleanup. I don't know. I just added that. All right. A different kind of notion of joy. The Mazal, the astrological sign for Adar, is Dagim, Pisces, fish. The word dag in Hebrew, you see this on page 2, is very close to the Hebrew doeg or daag, which is to worry. So this is a joy that erases worry. That's the joy of Adar. It's kind of cool. So we have this as a very special joy. All right, so number 5, it's a joy of intimacy with God. And here, the commentary that you'll see on page 3 of the packet talks about that God dwells close to us. You know, Adar, Aleph, Daled, Resh, it was very close to the word dar, which means to dwell. God dwells with us. If you buy an apartment or rent an apartment in Israel, dira is a word that's used for apartment. So it's a place where God dwells. God dwells with us. And of course, we're going to start reading about the dwelling places in the Torah portions the next few weeks. God dwells with us and within us, not just with us, but within us. And the quintessential example of that on a human level is Moses, who's, of course, the star of all these Torah portions, but also Moses' Yartzeit is in Adar, the 7th of Adar. And, there are all kinds of legends about how the evil inclination, whatever, the devil, we don't have a lot of devil legends, but there's a whole notion that that Adar was sort of, picked to fool us, so that we would think we would be happy, but then actually Moses dies in Adar, so we shouldn't be happy. But the joke's on that force of evil, because Moses was also born on the 7th of Adar. So we have both the Yartzeit and the birthday of Moses. God dwells within Moses, and every Jew has a speck of Moshe, according to the Sfat Emet, and you see that on the commentary on page 3. So that joy of intimacy with God within a sanctuary, within a dwelling place of God. We each have a spark of that intimacy, of that presence of God with Moses. Okay, here's another one, number 6. The joy of reversal. You see this in a couple of places, but it's a key. It's on page 5. Purim is the holiday that corresponds to all kinds of medieval and ancient celebrations of spring, topsy-turvy day, celebrations where things get reversed, where winter turns to spring, where cold turns to warm, where bad turns to good, where destruction suddenly on its head becomes renewal and rebirth. So, that story of Hafochba, of turn it on its head, which is central to Purim, is also central to Purim's joy. And I'm going to move beyond that. You'll see on page 9, as I copied some of the JPS commentary on Esther, on the book of Esther, which is just such an incredible commentary on the book. I hope you'll have a chance to look at it. The joy of transformation and of reversal is also the joy of liminality, the joy that things are in transition. Of course, we see that at this time of year, but rather than being afraid of it, looking out our window, we haven't had snow. Looking out our window, we're starting to see things sprouting, maybe a bit too early, but it's happening. Spring is happening early, and maybe not a time to celebrate that with climate change, but still a time of transformation. And with that on Purim, we show that in a number of ways, with masks, with breaking rules. We break rules on Purim. We start to make fun of the people that we normally revere throughout the year. That happens at our seminaries. I know that it certainly happened at mine, where we would just have Purim plays that would make fun of the Torah itself, make it Purim Torah, it's called, but make fun of our teachers as well. So norms are reversed. I want to bring us to chapter 13 on our quick trip around the Megillah. And the reversal isn't just about transitions that are part of nature or breaking rules, but also a reversal of fortunes. And that's really the key to the book of Esther, that everything that happened or should have happened badly got reversed, especially in chapter 8, where you see it, and the similarities between the early bad stuff and the good stuff, like Mordecai gets to do all the good things that supposedly Haman was going to get to do, being dressed up in royal garment and paraded around town, all those great things. Mourning turns to unmitigated joy. So the key to the joy is that transformation, that surprise, the reversal of fortune. And when you think about it, the reason that line from the book of Esther, which is found here, the joy on page 15, the city of Shushan rang out with joyous cries, Lahidim hayata ora v'simcha v'sason v'ikar. That line from Havdalah really marks the transformation back from Shabbat to the week, to Ben Chodesh, from Chodesh to Chol. While we're transforming ourselves back to the weekday, we bring with us that transformative aspect of Shabbat that was so joyous. So we see all of this playing itself out in Purim. All of these things are elements of the joy that we find at this time of year. And it is a joyous time of year. I mean, it's so joyous that everyone is sort of envious of the Jews in the book of Esther. In that chapter, we see the Persians even pretending to be Jews. Maybe they were jealous of circumcision. They saw us having such a good time.